Hi guys, Igor here. Today we talk about HTMX, a different approach to building web apps or websites. Before explaining what it is, let's take a look what are the most common ways of building web apps today and websites. First is to have multi-page server rendered apps, and the second one is single page applications where content is rendered on the client side. And of course you can hybridize, mix that approaches, but these are two extremes that are most common conceptually, let's say. So to compare the two of them, the full one is where we return from the server fully rendered HTML pages. So we issue a request to a server returns HTML page, and it is rendered by the browser. We don't have rendering logic mostly on the client side, and all or most actions that require some data modification trigger full page. We see an example now why there is no overview state on the client side, because all actions or almost all actions they trigger full page reload, and new page with the new state is loaded from the server. And most logic or all validation and so forth is done on the server side, not the client side. And GitHub is a good example of that, even though it mixes the approaches sometimes. So if we go to GitHub, I'm logged in right now, so let's sign out, and as you can see, there was a full page reload even on this action of signing out. Maybe I will be able to, yeah, here we have a request to log out, and as you can see in the response we got full HTML document returned to us. So let's say yes, that we will sign out. We are on the main page, and right now I will sign in again. Again, we got full page reload, and what I would like to show here is that in that example validation is also done on the server side. Because if I get rid of my password, it's empty, so obviously it can't be valid. If I click sign in, we got a full page reload, and we got, let's actually see, page with the error, but I'm not sure whether, yeah, it was also here. So the GitHub returned to us full page, full HTML page with the error. Okay, and if we sign in, we also got new page. What it is? GitHub come again, but with our feed. Let's see if I'm here. Yeah, I am. I'm looking for a content like that. And if we go to one of my repositories, we also get a full page reload. Okay, so that's for multi-page application, and with the approach 2, where we have single page client render apps. In most cases we have some RESTful API, we can use something different, but the RESTful API with the JSON as exchange format is the most frequent one. And then we perform some operations on the data or resources, but the server serves us this data and expects us to send its data in JSON, YAML or whatever format, but it knows nothing about HTML. And we have only one full page reload. Usually it is index.html, the main page, and from that point the routing to another screen's pages is done completely on the client side using JavaScript, and we don't have full page reloads anymore. There's a lot of state on the client side handled by the JavaScript code, and because we get the data from the server, the client must interpret it and render correctly. So the server would return the data in JSON format to us, and we need to do something in JavaScript with it to transform it to valid HTML to show something to the user. As I said, server doesn't know anything about HTML. It exposes only data and operation through some agreed on API, and you can argue that it has more app-like experience because there are no page reloads. And as a small example, we can go to my now archived application, and here you would see that we returned the index.html, main HTML without anything rendered. Very good coffee. So we have a div without any content, but obviously you can see here that we have lots of content under this div. And how it came about is that it was rendered by the JavaScript. Because right now, if we look at that and go to another route, as you can see, it was changed by the JavaScript code, and we don't have full page reload. And how it all, so these are two extreme, these are two approaches, really, two different approaches to building web apps, websites. You can hybridize them, of course, so you can have multi-page server rendered application consisting of 3-4 pages, let's say, or 3 or 4 sub-applications, and on each page you can have small single page application, something like that. Or you can just update some content in the multi-page application using JavaScript requests and render HTML in some places yourself. But anyways, how it compares to HTMX. So what it is, so it is just a small JavaScript library that allows to add new attributes to HTML tags and elements. And thanks to that, it allows to perform AJAX requests on various events triggered in by certain HTML elements like submit, click, change. But you can also create your own custom triggers. We'll see this in a while. It allows us to perform partial HTML updates without full page reload. So what's interesting here is that we'll have an example that I prepared, really single page application, but on various actions of the user we will get HTML from the server, but it will be updated only partially on part of the page or multiple places in the page without doing full page reload. So as I said, it expects HTML responses. We can also build either single page application, or we can mix approaches here. And to modify some data, we can set it through forms or inputs as applications for URL encoded, but we can also send some arbitrary data because the HTMX, it has very rich event model, and pretty much all logic validation is done what it should be on the server. So we not have, or you can do validation on the client side, but it has its more advantages to have it on the client side, on the server side with that approach, because you can have this logic in one place. And here I also embedded the motivation for creating HTMX from their web page. Okay, so as you know more or less what it is about, let's get to an example, guys. So I prepared some application. I called it some wisdom HTMX app. So we have package JSON, nothing fancy really here. I just used the Express as server to help me with the routing sessions and so forth. Then we have TypeScript in dev dependencies. I have some things about the tests, but I didn't use it yet. In the future. And we have also Tailwind to help us with the styling of CSS. And the structure of the app is that we have sources here, source of it. We have some assets, and here to keep things simple, I created database JSON files. We have authors, they have quotes, we have 2 users. We have some notes that you can add to quotes. They are in git ignore so that you can modify it locally. Of course, all the code is on the GitHub, and the link is in the description. We have index.js to do some things with the HTMX that it's not possible only in HTML, and we have styles and users. We have passwords. It's not hard to decrypt them. You can do something like, because they are base 64 encrypted, so you can do something like echo base 64 minus d, I believe, and you have passwords. Not that hard. And before we start up, maybe let's go through a few files. So app.ts is the entry point of the app. Create all the objects here. We register routes. We have a few modules, as you can see here: authors, user, quotes. Yeah, and then it's nothing fancy here. We just have a few express routes. Here we return some files, and we also have users. So somewhere here we have a handler for sessions. It's not that important for that example, but the general approach maybe I would like to show is that in authors, for example, module, we have a module here as in other packages, and we register endpoints, and they return HTML, as you can see here, either full or partial. We'll go to that in a while, but in all modules we have views file, and here we create, as you can see, pretty straightforward way HTML pages from template retailers from JavaScript, adding some HTMX tags that will help us to do interesting things. Alright guys, so let's start the app. I have prepared a few scripts. So for some dogs barking. Let's wait. So I prepared a few scripts to test, build, serve, and so forth. Serve, actually, it does the live reloading of our app. So let's run npm run serve. Okay, and our app started on port 8080. So let's go from here to here. Okay, I'm logged in. I was supposed to not to be logged in, so let's do this again. Okay, and what happened, guys? If we go here, we got redirect because it is only allowed the home page for logged in users. So we're redirected to sign in page. And in the response, what we got in the response, guys, we have a full HTML document here, fully rendered, as you can see. So that way it is different from the example that I showed previously, because if we go to higher IO, as you can see, we have index HTML without the content, which has many implications for SEO, for example, which is search engine optimization. And then the content here is rendered in the JavaScript by the JavaScript later. And here we have fully rendered page, which is advantage for the of the HTMX. We have a form, and let's see how this form differs from the regular form. So we have a class, we have normal classes from Tailwind, so that's not important here. There are only 4 styling, but HX, these are attributes prefixed with HX. They are coming from HTMX, and they are allowed to its functionality. So for example, here we have a history, and this guy, which consists of almost all page, will be modified to simplify by the HTMX. And going back to a form, as you can see, we have HX post here, and it means that submit will trigger the AJAX request to that endpoint. So HTMX will trigger request to specify endpoint here on the submit action. That's the default for forms. Default varies between different types of inputs. You can also specify your own. But the important thing is that it will trigger requests for us. We don't have to do anything, and then it will swap the content that we specified here by the ID, which is here, which is our whole page. We can simplify it to that, and it will also replace the URL. And other important things are that we have 2 inputs here for name, password. As you can see, we also have error message for both of these guys, but they are hidden, don't have anything here. And also the sign-in is disabled. And we have HX trigger and HX post on inputs. And that's interesting because this will allow us to do validation. Let's see how. So I start typing, and then as specified here, I release my my key, wait for 500 milliseconds. The request to user sign in validate name is triggered. And as you can see, we got error, which is quite nice. And if we go to network, in the response we just got the paragraph that was exchanged by the HTMX. We didn't, just needed to specify proper tags and in HTML, and it is all done for us, which is quite nice. So if I go with proper valid name, as you can see, we don't have error anymore. Same with password. it works in a similar way. Sign in is disabled still. And so let's go with wrong password, but I mean incorrect password, but valid by the content, so we don't have errors here. But if we click sign in, we have a nice model here, and to do things like that, you just need to listen to events that are also triggered by the HTMX. So that functionality is defined in the index.js file. So we need to create our JavaScript to do that. And in that specific case, I believe it was send error event or response error. Yeah. So here we have response from the server, and we have error model here, so we are exchanging its content, its inner content, and we remove hidden class, so it is visible in a nutshell. Let's actually see that. Yeah, so something went wrong. Here we have incorrect password, and going to network, you can see that it was returned by the server, which is quite nice. We didn't need to do anything on the client side to show it, basically. Okay, but let's log in with correct user. Okay, and we are on the another page, and in the race from the response of execute request, we got partial HTML, as you can see. And what's interesting here is also that we updated HTML in 2 places, because that is for navigation, and which is here, and that is for being here. Okay, and if we search for something, we got some results. So we have authors, as you can see. So it was also updating our HTML page partially. We can do this again. We have load indicator also, and we have something different. Here we have nothing. Let's go with that. We have something different, and also so partial again fragment of HTML, but also if we refresh the page, we got full HTML, which is interesting because it combines basically partial updates, something similar to single page application, with multi-page application, because now you can give somebody URL, for example, like that, and it will work, and let's do this again. As you can see, it is fully rendered on the server side. That's interesting. Okay, but going further, so let's go to homepage again, because we got a little distracted, let's say. Let's go with Nietzsche, and here we have just another page with the description of the author, some quotes, and what's interesting here, we can also have scroll position saved. Going back here, it works fine. And here we have maybe the last thing, the page of author quote, We can add notes here, and what's interesting here, we can also remove them if we were the authors. And here we can I did confirmation dialog, and validation works the same as we saw in the login example. So let's add test node. We can confirm, and after that, as you can see, the counter was increased, and also we have new node here without any state on the client side, which is amazing. Because here, as you can see, we got this guy was replaced here, and this guy was replaced here. And as shown previously, you can also do full page reload. We have the same page, only with form hidden, and also the full page rendered on the client, on the server side, sorry. And also we can remove nodes, and as you can see, it dynamically changes. What else? I think that's probably all. Maybe we can also sign in. Sign in. We are redirected to the main page, and we can also see that we'll not be able to go here. We were redirected to sign in because we are not signed in. So that's pretty much it, guys. I enjoyed a lot going through this HTMX technology. Quite interesting. It seems to simplify a lot of things when it comes to building web applications, and just explore it and tell me what you think. And if you enjoyed the video, like the video, subscribe, and I see you next time. See ya.